Welcome to The Change Agent, sponsored by Beyond the Glare and Kalina Vision Professional Services, where we dive into real-world challenges and strategies of leadership, team management, leading remote teams, project management, being an empathetic leader, technology, and more. So whether you're leading a new team or trying to energize an existing one, we've got insights, tips, and stories to help you succeed as a leader and inject value fast into your organization. So let's jump right into it. Welcome back and welcome to episode 7. I'm Eric, and today we are taking the leap that all managers took at least once in their career, embracing the change from contributor to leader. If you're new to leadership or project management, stepping into your first leadership role can feel like a huge leap, and it might even be scary. One day you're a skilled individual contributor to your team, and the next thing you know, you're focusing on your own work. The next thing you also know is that you're responsible for them. You're responsible for guiding the team, setting priorities, making decisions, and impacting others. And it's exciting, but it's also overwhelming. So how do you transition smoothly from a contributor to a leader? How do you build the trust and communicate effectively and avoid common mistakes and pitfalls? And so that's what we're going to be talking about today in the show. So let's just dive right in. So the biggest challenge I think that new leaders face is getting off of the idea of doing and stepping into leading. This is harder than it sounds, which is delegating and trusting that the system didn't center around you doing everything to begin with. Too often I think people have this idea of pride of ownership when they are doing the work. It's tough to let that go. Here's the reality. The job that you were doing is no longer about getting the work done yourself. It's about making sure that the team gets the work done and that they do it together. It's about providing that purpose, that motivation, the direction, which is an old line known by many military non-commissioned officers. A lot of new leaders struggle with this, and you might feel the urge to step in and try to fix stuff yourself. But if you're always doing the work, you're not leading, you're micromanaging, and people know that we don't like micromanagers. So instead, you want to do some things. You want to trust that you focus on the things that matter, which are delegation. You want to trust the team to execute, and you want to be clear about the expectations you want. You also want big picture thinking. You want to shift from focusing not only on the things that you're doing and prioritizing them, but the big strategic picture as well. This includes processes and team dynamics. You want to support your team. Leadership is not about being the hero. If you think that, you're wrong, you're going to fail. It's about being the leader that helps your team succeed. You need to be in the mindset of helping other people grow so that you can see them elevated one day as well. Think about the best leaders you've worked with. Did they spend all their time doing tasks? Nope. They set clear goals, they guided the team, they gave them the resources they needed, and they moved on. They removed all the roadblocks and things like that you'll see. That's your new job. It's important to know that the respect and the willingness to follow is not given, it's earned. You have to have the credibility to be the new leader. And if you've been selected to lead, it's likely that you've already gotten that. So we're already in a step ahead. So let's move on into that just a bit more. If you're leading a team for the first time, especially if it includes people that you know, your friends, your peers, you might wonder, how am I going to do this and establish authority without being overbearing? How will I gain respect without acting like I know everything? How will I deal with directing those that I've made friendships with? Those are really big challenges. So here's the key. Leadership is not about a title, it's about trust. And trust is built through actions, not words. First, you want to be transparent. If you don't know something, admit it, but show you're willing to learn. No one expects that new leader to have all the answers. So you want to help your team gain those answers. You want to get that knowledge board on the wall and making sure that everyone has the chance to contribute to it. Second, you want to make sure you're setting clear expectations. People want to know what's expected of them, and they can expect what they can expect from you, and we'll talk more about that in a second. Third, get those quick wins. And identify small but impactful changes that you can make, get that lowest hanging fruit to show that you're bringing value to the team. It could be removing a frustrating bottleneck that they have, or it could be giving them resources, or just being more responsive in general, especially if If the leader before you was not responsive, that's a real easy one to fix. A supportive leader is one that they will appreciate. Most importantly, you have to be consistent. Your team is going to be watching if your words match your actions. In past podcasts, I talked about ensuring that you say what you mean and you mean what you say, that you're available to the team when you say you will be. And it means doing this consistently so that people know what to expect from you in all situations, good or bad. So let's talk about some common pitfalls and mistakes that you might face as you begin as a new leader. First, I want to talk about what you don't do as a leader, especially when you're new. Don't try to be everyone's friend. It's natural to want people to like you because you feel like if they like you, they're going to follow you, but that's not the case. People can enjoy being around you and not trust you. But leadership is not a popularity contest. This is not some show where you go out and get everyone to like you as much as they possibly can. Focus on earning respect through fairness, decisiveness, and transparency. If you're doing those things, people will enjoy being around you. I can't say that they'll be your friends, like personal friends, but they'll enjoy being around you. Don't avoid difficult conversations. Whether it's addressing poor performance or setting boundaries or tough conversations, just in general, it comes with the role. You're going to have to do it. So the earlier you get comfortable with doing it, the better. It's important to not think that time solves these things. They don't. You have to immediately address and pursue conversations if needed, because if you don't, it will breed more problems. And you need to document. But do not avoid. The best thing you can do in a bad situation is to get on it immediately. What do they say? Nip it in the bud. Mistake number 3, don't overmanage and don't undermanage. Finding that right balance is really critical. You don't need to control every little detail about how things are getting done, but you can't also assume that everything's perfectly fine without checking in. We've talked about this before in other podcasts. They say trust but verify. Great leaders are communicators. Now, we've talked about that because I said in the previous podcast that centered on communications that these were key components to sound leadership and successful project management. So as a new leader, your success will depend on that. So listening more than you talk is important. Ask questions and then listen. What do they say? 2 ears and 1 mouth. So you should be listening twice as much as you speak. Pay attention to what your team needs. Set clear expectations. If your team isn't meeting them, ask yourself, have I communicated them correctly? Manage up and down. Keep leadership informed about your team's progress while you're advocating for your team's needs. You need to get the resources. But manage the manager. Our managers are not all-knowing. In fact, they are learning too. So it's important to keep them engaged, communicate often, and be honest about the status of everything that's going on, especially risks, because these are the things that they can help you navigate, and they may have the resources that you need to navigate them and mitigate those risks. Managing down is often thought to be difficult, but one trick goes a long way: regular check-ins. It's not just about work, it's about how your team is doing personally. And again, the first 6 podcasts that we've done have been focusing on being that leader, trusting your team, and engaging them to ask them how they're doing. So a quick, how is everything going, can go a really long way. Now, let's talk a little bit about long-term success. Leadership is not a journey, it's a destination. You're getting there. Now, you could say it's a journey in one way, but again, we're focusing on arriving at being a good leader. So that's why I say it's a destination. And you're always learning, right? So here's how to set yourself up for some long-term success. Some of these you've heard before. Reading books, taking courses, and learning from experienced leaders. We've talked about being a student all the time and reading and looking at artifacts and lessons learned. Go back and do those things. Learn. It matters. Find a mentor, someone who's done this before and they can offer guidance, great internal organizational assets that you could use. Ask for feedback. What's something I can do better as a leader? These things can unlock those game-changing insights, and you can get a lot of feedback from the people that work around you and those that you manage to understand how you could better manage. So remember, you're not alone. Every great leader started where you are now. The key is to stay adaptable, keep learning, and keep leading with intention. Those are really important keys: communicating, empathy, caring about what you're doing, and focusing on the long-term strategic goals of the organization. So just to recap really quickly, you want to shift your mindset from a doer to a leader. You want to build that credibility through trust, consistency, and quick wins. And while you might arrive in this role with some credibility, it's your job to grow that and to keep it. Avoid common mistakes like overmanaging, avoiding conflicts and hard conversations, and trying too hard to be everyone's friend. Communicate clearly, listen, set expectations, advocate for the team, stand up for them, and keep growing. Leadership is a skill that you develop over time. So that's a wrap for today. If you found this episode helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and make sure to leave a review. If you'd like more information on how to engage with me directly, head over to kalinavision.com, which is spelled Kalyn as in Nancy, vision.com, kalinavision.com. And also catch us on YouTube at Beyond the Glare to learn more and see how we can help you and your team remove obstacles and address challenges, enabling your team and organization to achieve its goals and to see that value stream just take off. Thanks for listening.